Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Entertainment Now podcast. My name is Nick.
I'm Ian.
Like always, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you give us the old thumbs up and drop us a comment and all that YouTube-y kind of stuff. I will say that we are coming up to the end of the Entertainment Now podcast. We've got Dose. We got 2 episodes left, and then we'll take our little summer break. Then we'll be back at the beginning of August with, what's the new podcast name, Ian? Do you remember it?
Vinyl Den After Dark.
Vinyl Den
After
Hours.
I wanted After Dark. You went with After Hours. Okay,
yes. Yeah. Because like I said, After Hours sounds like, you're just hanging out after the record store closes. Just talking about all sorts of goofy shit.
After Dark seems a bit more mysterious.
Because that's what we do on the show. We talk about the most random shit. We've been okay about getting to our topic. There's a lot of weeks we don't even get to our topic. So
yeah, I would say we're hitting the 25% mark on topics.
We're probably a little more than that, but there are. So our last episode was an hour long, and we talked about God knows what for the first 30 minutes. But
right.
There is some stuff that we will have. The Vinyl Den After Hours is not going to be structured at all like our normal YouTube channel is.
Right.
They'll have some there is some stuff that I want to do every week, but I don't think it's still not gonna be very structured. We'll see how often we get to our topic, but I always ask you this time every week, Ian, what's been going on? What's up with Ian?
I went and saw The Strangers Chapter 1.
What is that?
It's a movie.
Tell us about the movie, Ian. I'm giving you the opportunity to tell us about the movie.
So The Strangers actually came out in 2008. It had Liv Tyler in it. It was a horror movie. This is kind of a soft reboot of that. It's Chapter 1 because they filmed all 3, 1, 2, and 3 together.
Okay.
2 comes out in the fall. But the first one's more of kind of a soft reboot or a remake, I suppose you could say, of the first one. It was good. It was, I kind of went into it knowing that it's Chapter 1.
What's the premise of the movie?
The basic premise is this couple's in a cabin by themselves in the middle of nowhere, and these 3 masked people terrorize them.
I saw the preview for that.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it for what it was. It was a well done film. Was it as good as the original? Probably not quite. Yeah. But it didn't fall short in the suspense area, which is where the first one was really strong. Okay.
It was still a pretty decent movie.
Pretty decent movie, and I'm really excited about the sequels because it's planned. So there's an idea there, and it's all done. Yeah. It's I think they're just finishing up reshoots and stuff on the third part. So, all directed by the same person, all written by the same people. It's Rennie Harlan who's directing it. His very first U.S. film was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4.
Really? That was a good one.
Yeah, and he went on from that to do Die Hard 2. And he's done a bunch. He did The Long Kiss Goodnight with Sam Jackson.
Die Hard 2 is not a Christmas movie, right? It was just...
No, it is. In fact, it's more of a Christmas movie than the original. The problem is it's just not it's a good movie. It's just not a good sequel because it's how... I don't understand how you can logically jump from 1 year later, just on the other coast, and the same shit happens. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So
I will say that this is something that I wasn't really planning on talking about. It just popped up when you said Die Hard was, and it wasn't even really pointed towards the Die Hard Christmas movie argument. It was actually for something else. It was for a different holiday or different movie that takes place around a holiday. But a similar kind of question. And then, God, I wish I could remember what movie it was. But someone even said, just because a movie takes place around that holiday doesn't make it a movie for that holiday. But,
well, I guess...
And I said that was in reference to something that was not a Die Hard movie. But,
right.
Okay.
The argument, though, is what makes a movie a Christmas movie. There are so many elements of Die Hard that are tied to it being Christmas that it has to be a Christmas movie.
Bruce Willis says it's not a Christmas movie.
Bruce Willis is also senile, so
Well, he said it before he was diagnosed with dementia, but
doesn't mean he didn't have the dementia first. He may not have been diagnosed with it. And I don't care. He's an actor. He's an actor. So
it's his movie.
Yes, but he showed up. He got paid. He acted, and he was great in it. He was fantastic in it.
Actually, you know what the funny thing is?
Doesn't mean he's always right.
Movies. Even the last one I thought was pretty good. Because
Good
the last
Day to
one was
Die
the one
Hard
with
was-
his like son, right?
Yeah, in Russia.
Live Free or Die Hard.
No, that was the fourth one.
Which one was the last one then?
A Good Day to Die Hard.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're in Russia. They spend an awful lot of time in Chernobyl and don't get like cancer and die from radiation poisoning. So I'm a little tough on that particular film. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever finished it.
Oh, really? I didn't think it was that bad.
I have it on Blu-ray. Maybe I need to rewatch it, but I like Live Free or Die Hard. I like the fourth one.
I think the third one was better than the second one. I thought was the third one with the one with Sam Jackson in it.
Yes, and because it made sense.
Yeah.
You know, because Bruce Willis John McClane is there. There's a reason he gets pulled into it. And it's kind of the same thing with the fourth one. It's a little, stretch of the imagination, but the fourth one, at least, he's not just like in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yeah. Again,
it's like how many times can this happen to a guy?
Right.
Yeah.
Live Free or Die Hard takes place on the 4th of July, so I guess that's a 4th of July movie.
It's not a 4th of July movie. Asshole.
I said it, maybe. That one stretches credulity a little bit, but
I do need to go back.
I will die on the hill of Die Hard as a Christmas movie. I will die on that hill.
I definitely need to go back and watch them. I mean, it's been forever since I watched them. Speaking of movies I haven't watched in a while, that I just got on Blu-ray. I just got the 4 Lethal Weapon movies on Blu-ray.
I did a rewatch of those last year, just on HBO Max. Yeah. I was in an 80s action film mood, and it actually was probably around the time that they announced that they were making Beverly Hills Cop 4. So I was like, I watched
I'm
all
really
3
excited
of
for that. Have you
Me
seen
too.
Have you seen the preview for it?
Yeah,
it looks fucking fantastic.
It does. Super excited for that.
It's on Netflix, right? It's
Netflix. July. It comes out in July.
It's not gonna have a theatrical release though.
No.
That sucks. Because I'd love to see it in the theater.
Right. Yeah, no, it looks awesome, and I'm super excited about it. But anyway, when it was announced, I was like, so I went and watched the first 3 Beverly Hills Cop movies. So it's kind of in like this 80s action film mood. So I was like, I'll watch Lethal Weapon. I haven't watched that in ages, and I binged all 4 of them in one sitting.
The first couple of ones, I think it's one of those rare movies where I feel like they got better as they went through the movies. Like, the first one's a good movie. I like the second one a little bit better than the first one. And I think the third one is a little bit better than the second one. Now, the fourth one was kind of was a little bit of a drop off, but.
No, see, I thought as far as plot, yes. As far as like just comedy and on-screen chemistry, because everyone had been there for so long and worked together for so long that it was just, it really, came off like these are real people, like real
just remember,
relationships.
Whatever you want, Leo gets.
Yeah,
that's Joe Pesci's character in the.
Yeah, and they're still trying to put together a Lethal Weapon 5. I don't think it's going to happen.
It will not happen.
You don't think so?
Mel Gibson is like the most toxic fucking person in Hollywood.
No, I don't think he's the most toxic, but he's definitely toxic.
He's pretty close when it comes maybe not outside of Hollywood, but I think like inside Hollywood he is.
Yeah.
People that like in Hollywood, I don't think like working with him.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's the last thing he's even done?
Well, I couldn't tell you.
He was in something not too long ago because I was like, oh my God. He's actually working.
Well, the last thing that I knew he was in was that Daddy's Home with Will Ferrell, the sequel, where it's Mark Wahlberg, Will Ferrell, John Lithgow.
That was a long time ago.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it was a long time.
Less than 10 years. Less than 10 years.
Oh, so I was actually wrong. Looks like the last movie. Oh, hold on. I'll just click on the full filmography here. Wow, that he's done 58 movies.
Yeah.
He was in Desperation Road. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. No, something bigger than that. Daddy's Home 2 was 2017, by the way.
So that's 7 years ago.
He's done like a dozen. He's done like a dozen movies since then.
Yeah, but
he did
still, it's
1,
like,
2, 3, 4, 5. He did 7 movies in 2022.
yeah. So he's going down that Nicolas Cage route. We're just basically doing anything and everything.
No, I mean outside of that year, outside of 2022, like the most he's done in 1 year. Before that was like 2 movies.
Mm.
He's normally, except for go back to 2000, he did 4 movies in 2000. From 2001 until 2022, the most he's done is 2 movies in a year. So,
I pretty much stopped following anything Mel Gibson was doing after Passion of the Christ.
He was in The Expendables 3, which wasn't very good.
Which I never saw.
He was in Get the Gringo. That's a horrible fucking title. Edge of Darkness. He was in Signs. He was in Signs. I don't remember him being in Signs.
That was in 2000.
2002. I know that.
Well, he was the dad. He was the preacher, ex-preacher guy.
Father Graham Hess.
Yeah, it's his kids, and Joaquin Phoenix plays his brother in Signs.
That's such a horrible movie, though. Oh, speaking of that, do you remember the movie Pat? It's Pat.
Yeah.
From Saturday Night Live. Like, by the way, the movie that has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Like one of the only movies that has a fucking 0 is It's Pat. It's easily the worst fucking SNL movie that was ever made.
Well, that's true. I don't know if I ever watched it all the way through. I never watched it. Like, it was just on, and I was watching it.
Do you know? I found out today who one of the co-writers of that movie is. Take a wild guess. Who do you think would be one of the co-writers of It's Pat?
Well, it was Julie Sweeney who played Pat, right?
Do you think in the top 700 would you have ever guessed Quentin Tarantino?
No.
He was one of the co-writers on that fucking movie.
Oh.
He is an uncredited co-writer on that movie. I just found that out today.
Well, I can understand why he went uncredited.
Yeah, no shit. Like
that could just mean that he did a spec script or something, and they used something from his script.
That's true. But like that movie is fucking horrible. Easily one of the worst.
I never really liked the It's Pat skits on SNL either.
Honestly, like there's only a couple of decent SNL movies. I think most of them are kind of garbage.
Coneheads is good.
Yeah, Coneheads was good. Blues Brothers was good. Right. There's definitely some good ones.
And then there's like, I wouldn't call them SNL movies, but they're SNL cast movies. Like, was just thinking of one right before that. Well, Wayne's World. Wayne's World's an SNL movie, but like Tommy Boy, and that's a great film because it's like SNL adjacent. Yeah, and pretty much the early Adam Sandler stuff even. So.
Yeah. His early stuff was good. I don't know. I was never a big fan of like The Mask or anything like that, though.
Well, The Mask wasn't Adam Sandler.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Jim Carrey. You said Adam Sandler. what was the one movie where he was like in the school?
Billy Madison.
Billy Madison. I wasn't a huge fan of that one.
No, because it kind of like it's a little stretch, a bit of a stretch.
I think it was like towards the end of that like.
No, it was like the second. It was like the second movie that he did that was big.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
He did Happy Gilmore, then he did Billy Madison. It was like back to back.
Happy Gilmore was a good movie.
Oh, I love Happy Gilmore. Do you hear the rumor that they're working on a Happy Gilmore 2?
I think I did see that.
Yeah, Christopher McDonald actually posted something that he's waiting to see the script, but it's being written.
I feel like that's always that's the case for everything, though.
Yeah, it is.
But
I don't know if you post that, or if you're not if it's not at least seriously talked about. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen, but it's got to be seriously talked about before someone's like, "Oh, I'll post on, Twitter." Yes, I'm calling it Twitter. But,
it will always be Twitter. I will never fucking call it X.
Right.
X was a band from the 70s. It's not a social media platform. But it irritates me, though, because now you have to say, it was posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. Like,
I just say Twitter.
Just call it fucking Twitter. I know.
People know
I'm talking about like the news and stuff like that. Whenever they quote anything off of Twitter, they always say X, formerly known as Twitter. Just call it Twitter. But that had nothing to do with what we were going on. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there with my mini rant about Twitter.
I honestly can't think of the last time a good comedy movie came out.
I feel like it hasn't been that long. Daddy's Home was 2017, but that was I
wouldn't call that a good comedy, though. I didn't like it.
I did.
I mean, Will Ferrell's hit or
that's why I call it a good comedy. Like,
well, Will Ferrell is very hit or miss with me.
Very, and he's more miss than hit.
There's
there's
some
very
of those
few
early
Will Ferrell-
movies. I don't know. Some of those early movies I can deal with because they're just goofy enough to be likable, like
what was
Semi-Pro.
Yeah, that was okay.
It was okay.
What was the
Blades
one
of
where
Glory was okay.
Yeah, the one where he's in college. What was it?
Oh, that's going way back. That's old school.
way back. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
old
That
school.
was. I mean, that wasn't even great.
Well, and he was an ancillary character technically. He wasn't even like the star of that movie.
Yeah,
but I like Step Brothers. I think Step Brothers is hilarious.
Yeah,
I like some of those goofy comedies. I don't mind them. But an Anchorman.
Whenever anyone tells me, "Oh, it's so stupid, it's funny," I'm like, no, it ends up being so stupid, it's stupid.
To you, because I don't like you. Your sense of humor is very, I don't know. It's, I can see past. I prefer highbrow humor, but I can see past it and enjoy some goofiness. The movie Hot Rod, for example, it's the goofiest fucking movie ever. I love it.
Talladega Nights wasn't bad.
Yeah, and Hot Rod's kind of on the same scale as that.
Yeah, that was another Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah, it was all right. It's not my favorite of Will Ferrell's if I had to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
But, Actually, my favorite Will Ferrell movie is Kicking and Screaming.
I don't think I ever saw it.
Because he plays just a straight character, really. But his dad owns like this, his dad is owns like this chain of like Dunham's, like sporting goods stores.
Yeah.
He's like this alpha male, and Will Ferrell's been a guy who loves sports but really isn't very good at them. And his son's on his dad's soccer team. His dad's coaching, and he gets benched. So he ends up, or gets traded. He trades his own grandson to this other team, and Will Ferrell's like trying to be supportive because his dad was never supportive of him. So he becomes the coach, and it's got a Bad News Bears kind of vibe to it in a sense.
Yeah,
but not really. You should check it out. It's a cute family movie. It's not like
I'll watch it.
It's not like an R-rated movie. Dick Butkus is in it.
The person with the worst name ever.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
His name is Dick Butkus. Like,
yeah, because he plays Will Ferrell's dad's neighbor, and they hate each other. So he ends up getting Dick Butkus to help him coach the soccer team.
Yeah.
So
I think the best thing I ever saw Will Ferrell in, I think it was on The Tonight Show. I think it was one of those. I think it was on one of those late night shows. It was Will Ferrell and Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like,
because they look
they look they're almost identical.
They're like brothers. Yeah, they could be brothers.
So they're doing like a drum off back and forth. It's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Now I know it's not a movie, but
no.
Speaking of Will Ferrell, if you haven't seen that clip, it's great. It's awesome. But because he looks exactly like Chad Smith.
Yeah, they're very like I said, they could easily be brothers.
Yeah.
So.
There was something I wanted to talk about. So before we started recording, I was trying to find this on my phone. I wanted to go back in time. I'm trying to see
Wayback Machine.
I'm gonna see if I can pull it up on see if my iPad will cooperate with me. My 75-year-old iPad here. I want to go back in time to 1999. So we'll go back 25 years.
Okay.
I wanted to look at here. Let me see if I clicked on the wrong thing here.
25 years. I wasn't even born yet.
I wanted to go back to this week in 1999 and look at the Billboard 200.
Oh.
What do you think the number one song was this week?
1999. I don't know. Britney Spears, Hit Me One More Time, or
you're close. One More Time was third.
Okay.
Third on the Billboard 200.
Was it one of the NSYNC songs? I don't know their names.
Well, so Billboard 200 is an album. The Hot 100 is for songs.
Oh, albums. Okay.
So it's albums.
Was it an NSYNC album?
It was not. Is NSYNC? I don't even see NSYNC in. Oh, NSYNC is number 16. Their self-titled album was number 16, and at that time it spent 61 weeks on the charts.
May of '99.
June, first week in June.
June of '99. I have no idea.
It was a new album for that week. It debuted at number 1. You were close with NSYNC, real fucking close with NSYNC.
98 Degrees, Backstreet Boys.
Millennium by Backstreet Boys debuted at number 1 that week. Ricky Martin's self-titled album was second, which actually just got reissued on vinyl a couple weeks ago. Baby One More Time was third. Fan Mail was fourth. Number 5 is the soundtrack to The Phantom Menace. It was number 5 on the Billboard charts that week.
Yeah, because it came out this week, 25 years ago. And it the
soundtrack came out before the movie.
Right, and the movie came out 25 years ago this week.
Yeah.
But the soundtrack was selling like 2 or 3 weeks before.
Yeah,
because everyone was pissed off because it gave away, it spoiled the end, kind of the ending of the movie.
Yes,
which I bought the soundtrack. I had it on CD.
Did you?
Yep.
Yeah. By the first week in June, that was the third week on the charts. And then "Come On Over" by Shania Twain was 6. "No Limit Top Dog" by Snoop Dogg was 7. "Beach House on the Moon" by Jimmy Buffett was number 8.
Wow.
Which is really surprising. Rough Riders' Ride or Die Volume 1 was number 9. And "In Our Lifetime" by 8 Ball and MJG, whoever the fuck that was number 10. I was trying to find like a rock album. The Offspring with Americana was number 17.
Yeah.
Woody Ford Sings the Blues by Everlast was 19. Songs from Dawson's Creek was number 20. Godsmack with their self-titled album was 23. There's not a lot of rock on here though, surprisingly.
No. And what little rock
for 1999? What's that?
I mean, Offspring's good.
Yeah.
Everclear's okay, but Godsmack, ugh.
Yeah, no. They're one of those bands I never understood why people like them.
No,
like they're
it's like
just
Slipknot.
Yeah, and it was funny. Slipknot came up in a conversation not too long ago, and I tried listening to their stuff again. Like, I just don't like it. I mean, I'm not a new metal fan at all. The only new metal I like is, I guess, Linkin Park is new metal.
Right. Yeah.
Their first couple of albums were really good, and then the first 2 Korn albums. Outside of that, though,
Korn.
The rest of it just sounds like a cheap Korn knockoff, honestly.
Right.
And a knockoff that's not very good.
A lot of it was.
It was like Walmart Korn is what is kind of what it is.
Walmart Korn, not to be confused with Walmart Porn.
Yeah. I will say that at number 31 on the Billboard charts, the Billboard Top 200, the Billboard 200 for the first week in June. At number 31 is the album that Apple Music had as number 1 all time on there. Did you see this? Did you see Apple Music's top 100 albums of all time? People have been losing their fucking minds about this for the last couple of weeks.
I don't pay any attention to anything that's Apple generally. So,
well, it's not really that. Like I said, it's a top 100 list, so people have just been talking about it. Like, it's been all over. I see a bunch of videos on YouTube about it. People have been posting about it on social media. I'll see if I can bring up the list here real quick. But anyway, what do you think they have listed as the number 1 album of all time?
And is it based on like Apple Music plays?
It's based on artist recommendation and expert, like Zane Lowe, who's a big person in music. They used input from him and stuff like that in there to build their top 100 list. I will say Thriller is number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3 is Abbey Road. Number 4 is Purple Rain, which I can't complain with any of these.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5 is Blonde by Frank Ocean, which I will say that was one thing I give, like, because we talked about Rolling Stones, list that they updated beginning of this year about how fucking horrible it is. I can agree with a lot of the albums that they have in their top 100. I just don't like the order that some of them are. I do give them a lot of credit for adding. There's a lot of newer stuff in there. There's a lot of really influential rap and hip hop and stuff on there. Blonde by Frank Ocean's a great album. I don't think it's number 5 album of all time.
I was never a Frank Ocean fan.
Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie Wonder is number 6. Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar, which I think Damn is a better album, but I don't think it's number 7. Either one would be number 7 for me. But they've got Back to Black by Amy Winehouse, which is an incredible fucking album at number 8.
Is that the one
number
she won a
9, they've
Grammy
got
for?
Nevermind. What's up?
Is that the one she won a Grammy for?
Yeah. Which if you haven't listened to it, it's a really good album. It's very, very like bluesy kind of album. Then they got Lemonade by Beyonce at number 10. Like, the only egregious thing they've got on this list, I think, is number 1. Because they have, at number 1, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. As the number 1 album of all time. And that's what people have been complaining about. Like, it's a good album.
Right.
On no list anywhere should it be the number 1 album of all time, though. And apparently now what's up?
I've listened to it like once, I think, but it's not really my kind of music. So.
I mean, I've listened to it a couple of times. I mean, it's probably been, to be honest, probably a decade since I've listened to it. But actually, no, not that. It hasn't been that long. When did I start streaming music? Probably like I started listening to Spotify in like 2015 or 2016. Mm-hmm. So it's probably around that time is when I listened to it, because it was before I started listening to Apple Music, because I listened to it on Spotify. So I guess that probably was, I mean, it was almost a decade ago, I guess. Right. Christ, it is 2024. It's a good album. She's always been a really interesting artist, though, because like all the success that she had with that album, all the success that she had with Fugees, but she never released another album. I know she just said recently that she's considered doing a follow-up to that album, but I mean, it's been 25 years now,
right,
since that album came out.
Yeah, my experience with Lauryn Hill really just kind of begins and ends with Sister Act 2, which is a really good movie, actually. I like the Sister Act movies.
Yeah.
So they were supposed to be making a third one, and I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I think I did hear about that. I don't know. I don't know what ended up happening with it. I mean, it's been at least a year or so.
COVID happened. That's the big thing. But
yeah. I think that's
there's a lot of. I think COVID stopped it because it was in like early pre-production before COVID, and then I think with COVID it just never came back. So.
I'm really surprised that they've got OK Computer as high as they've got it. They've got number 12 on the list. Trigger warning. Like, did I tell you for some? Did I tell you that somebody at work came up to me and started giving me shit about?
Yeah, because I think the same person came up to me. And I'm like, look, that was on Nick. That had nothing to do with me. I don't necessarily. I even said I don't necessarily disagree with him, but that was all him. That had nothing to do with me.
One of the things I really do like about this list over the Rolling Stone list is ever since the Rolling Stone list has been out, 20 years that they've been updating their list, they've always got Blonde on Blonde, like in the top fucking 10. And every time I've talked about that, I think we've talked about their list twice now on the YouTube channel. I've always said, the thing I always say about it is Highway 61 Revisited is a much better album than Blonde on Blonde. Apple agrees. They've got it at number 14. So they've got it. I don't even know if Blonde on Blonde is even on the list, but that's really good. They've got what else? I'm surprised though. They've got no Led Zeppelin in their top 100. They don't have Black Sabbath in their top 100. They've got What's Going On by Marvin Gaye at 17, which I think is easily a top 5 album.
Yeah, definitely higher than 17.
The one thing that a lot of people were losing their mind about is they've got 1989 Taylor's version at number 18, which the album's been out for like 6 fucking months, which time span really doesn't mean anything, but especially since it was an album that was released in 2012 or 2014.
Yeah, but they don't have that version. They have that version specifically.
Yeah, no. Well, that's because I think she re-recorded them because she wants people to play the new version because she gets money for it. So
right.
I don't know. I thought it was really, like, if you get a chance, scroll through it though, because I think it's those kind of lists are always like super subjective and like.
Of course. There's a lot of albums we can, I think, universally agree on being on the list, just maybe not in the right order.
Yeah. There's and that's kind of like I said, I will agree with their list a lot more than I agree with Rolling Stone's list. I felt like a quarter of that list comes out of left field. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking about even having a lot of that on there, but
I just feel like it's it could be true with both of them or it could be false for both of them. I don't know, but I just feel like it's like you got these snobby music critics who have to sound like they're snobby. They probably listen to fucking garbage in their private life, but they have to seem.
Wait, what's wrong with garbage? Their first couple of albums. Their
Not
first
the
couple
band
albums,
garbage. I'm talking about like, you know,
Julio Iglesias. Throughout somebody that no one should listen to.
Right.
In 2024.
Yeah. Pat Boone. I mean, that kind of stuff. They probably, you know, but they have to, when they do their list, they have to seem like edgy and outside the box. And that's why they'll pick, you know, or they just don't know anything about these artists. And then just like, well, that sounds, I do know that one. So I'll put that on the list. It's kind of going to go either way, I guess. But who knows? And
I was wrong. They've got Led Zeppelin 2 at 27. So Led Zeppelin is on that list. I must have skipped over it. No, and that's the one thing I could say about Apple's list is I didn't feel like it because you're right. There's stuff on the Rolling Stone list where it seems like it's just someone trying to be fucking edgy,
right?
Putting something. And I didn't really feel that way outside of the selection of Lauryn Hill at number 1. But no, you know, it's interesting. I need to go. There's some of those albums I've never listened to before, especially the stuff that's like towards the end of their top 100 albums I have never heard of before or haven't listened to. So there's definitely stuff. That's the one thing I do like about going through lists like that is, you know, hey, I've never listened to that, so maybe I'll check it out. So
right.
There was one. So we talked about. It was before we started recording. We were talking about the whole Harrison Butker like uproar and all that. And it made me kind of start thinking about something is I don't watch Bill Maher anymore, but I do occasionally catch clips from his show. And I was watching, I don't remember what it was. I was watching that clip, and then the next clip after that took me to Jon Stewart. So I don't know how they were like, it was on my like For You page or whatever on Instagram.
Right.
And there was a clip from Jon Stewart talking about the whole Harrison Butker thing, which I don't really fucking care. Like, I don't agree with anything he fucking said, but I mean, he has the right to say it at least.
Right.
But the funny thing was, like, everyone always talks about cancel culture. Is cancel culture even a real thing? Like, do people really get fucking canceled outside of like Bill Cosby? Like,
well, I mean,
because I feel like there's certain people in a certain political spectrum that basically say whatever the fuck they want, and nothing. There's never any repercussions
for what they say. Canceled.
That was a long time ago, though.
7 years ago. Cancel culture exists on both sides.
Yeah,
but how to what extreme? I don't know. Because you're right. There's a lot of people who say some stupid shit and are fine, but then there's people who say like. Who said something like 30 years ago, and then everyone's like, "Oh my God, no one should even be watching this person anymore." It's like weird.
Well, because I mean, the outrage is always there. Like, I feel like we live in an outrage culture. It's more outrage culture than
Gina
cancel
Carano
culture.
was a little sooner. That's like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
she got canceled.
But that wasn't really like that was the outrage, and then her, like Disney was like, "Yeah, we're not gonna deal with you anymore." Like.
Well, just because they asked her to stop and she didn't.
Yes. That's not really cancel culture. That's like you disobeying an order from your boss. Like,
yeah, but my boss can't tell me what to post on my social media.
But your boss could fire you for it.
Right. Whether or not that's right, I don't know. But
yeah, I don't know. I just think that it's one of those things where people talk about all the time, but it's something you very, very, very rarely ever see.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like I said,
because there was a petition going around to have Harrison Butker get released by the Chiefs, which is not going to fucking happen.
No. I mean, he's just a kicker.
I know. He's not even a real fucking athlete. He just kicks a fucking ball.
Yeah. Like, I forgot what one guy said. He was like, on this podcast, he's like, he's the guy who plays in the timeouts, basically.
Yeah. Basically.
So, I by that standard, why does it even matter what he fucking says?
I guess the only thing I'll say about it is I thought it was a really weird commencement speech. I didn't watch the whole thing. It's 20 minutes long. I did read a bulk of the the transcript of it. And I guess his point of it was trying to make was like, all these people are Catholics, because he went on about Joe Biden also. These people are like basically fake Catholics, Is kind of what he was making it sound, and his speech was basically, "Don't be a fake Catholic."
How about just don't
but
be
it was
Catholic?
still like some of the stuff that he was like going in about. It was just weird, and it's weird to have him as your commencement speaker. I don't know.
Well, that was my point. It's like he didn't go to that school. He's not alumni. He's a kicker. The only thing that really is Kansas City won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
So he's a Super Bowl winner and he's Catholic. That's the only reason he's even there.
And he's been not as outspoken before, but this is not the first time he's said things like this.
Right.
So
I don't know what the big surprise is. It's a fucking Catholic college.
Yeah.
What's the surprise?
I think it's more so that people are like, "Hey, it's 2024.
Like
you probably shouldn't tell women to stay in the kitchen." Like,
well, no, that's what I mean. But it shouldn't surprise you. You're dealing with a archaic institution that was probably outlived its usefulness 50 years ago. But to me, that's the thing. It's like it's not a surprise to me that their commencement speaker, whoever it is going to say stupid shit like that. It's like going to a fucking Klan rally and going, "Oh my God, these guys are racist."
You guys say some weird shit here.
Yeah. Why? Why do you hate people so much? Why do you hate black people so much? I don't get it. It's it would be no different if it was a I mean, I would imagine an Islamic commencement speech would have a very similar view because, even a moderate Muslim is going to still have those expectations of their women.
Well, yeah, because they worship the same God. But anyway.
Well, of course. Just differently.
Yeah. So I'm going to say something. I don't want... I think the whole thing, I think the big thing that people took away was how misogynistic it sounded.
Right.
So I'm going to piggyback that by saying something that
Very
might come off as misogynistic. I don't want this to be, though. And this really has nothing to do with her gender. Mm. So I've been a big fan of Avril Lavigne for a while. Since, for 20 years. Over 20 years. Her first album came out in, 2001?
I'll be misogynistic for you. I've been a big fan of how she looks.
Yeah.
Since she came out.
Well, she was like 16 when she came out, Ian, damn it.
Well, I was pretty young then, too.
You were in your 20s, you weirdo.
Well, I thought she was older, but it's not like I did anything about it.
Honestly, I don't know how old she was with her first time. But anyway. So I've been a fan of hers for a long time. But I've never... So she doesn't do interviews. Mm-hmm. And I never knew why. I guess I never really thought about it until just recently. She was on a podcast called, I think it's called Call Her Daddy or Call Me Daddy, something like that. It used to be through Barstool. It was a really popular podcast. Two female hosts. So they talked about a lot of like sex stuff and stuff like that. And then they had a big public falling out. There was like lawsuits and the one girl left the podcast, one kept it going, and then she ended up signing a big contract, like a multi-million-dollar contract with Spotify. Mm-hmm. So she does a video podcast now under the same name on Spotify. So Avril Lavigne went on this show and did it was like 55-minute conversation. And I realized that like she's a good musician, but maybe she just came off this way, but she just sounded dumb. Like, here she is in her 40s, and like her answers to questions were like drinking and playing beer pong until 6 o'clock in the morning.
Huh. Well, maybe that's what she does. She's had the freedom to do whatever the fuck she wants.
I know that. And it kind of makes me think of like, the more I start thinking about it, the more she reminds me of somebody who got famous when they were young, and then
never grew
had
up.
This like Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah. Or people who, I mean, outside of fame and celebrity, people who peak in high school, but never, still wear their Letterman jacket and they're in their 50s. It's like, it does, put it away. It's,
But like all of her answers, even like when the host, like I think tried to like pry and get better answers out of her, she just sounded like a drunk 22-year-old frat boy. It's kind of how her answers came off. It was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. It's one of those things where
we shouldn't. We the problem is we shouldn't be looking to celebrities or any other, anyone to get our opinions from or to
Yeah.
get ideas from.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you can listen, and once in a great while there'll be a gem of an idea or a thought there.
Yeah.
But overall, that's why I can still watch Bill Maher, because I've never always agreed with him, and I would say I disagree with him more now than I used to. But sometimes he says something I do agree with, you know?
Yeah. You know, and I like watching interviews and stuff like that because sometimes I like getting like a glimpse into the personality of the person. Because a lot of times it doesn't come through in their music or anything like that.
Right.
But after I got done watching the full podcast episode, I was like, maybe it's a good idea you don't do podcasts, like,
or just interviews in general.
And like I said, it might just been a bad day for her. She did say it was like super early in the morning. Said she doesn't normally get up to like noon or 2:00, and it's probably like 8:00 in the morning that she was there. So maybe she just kind of came off that way on the camera, but I didn't think it was a good look for her. But
yeah, maybe it wasn't. Maybe could be that's just how she is too. Who knows?
That's possible. Like I said, it's very common for like child actors because she was famous at a young age, even before she used to perform with Shania Twain when she was a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't find her attractive back then because I didn't even know about her then.
Yeah. Well, she was like 8 probably. So
yeah, I didn't. Well, she's in her 40s. She's not that much younger than me. I'm 46.
No, how old is she? I'll look real quick. It was 2000. I'm pretty sure it was 2002 when her first, because her second album just celebrated a 20th anniversary. So she was born in 84. So she's 7 years younger. She'll be 40 this year.
Yeah, so she's 7 years. Now, yes, that is a big difference when you're in your 20s, but she had to be closer to 18 when she released her first album.
Yeah.
So,
but she went through a pretty public breakup about a little over a year ago, because she was engaged.
Well, wasn't she married to the lead singer of Sum 41 at one point?
Yeah, that was pretty early in her career, and then she was married to the lead singer of Nickelback.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And then she had some health issues and like was out of the spotlight I guess she said she was like bedridden for like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And then she was engaged to Mod Sun about a year and a half ago. And then like I always wondered what happened, because he's sober. He's talked about he actually just celebrated 5 years sober just recently. So I can kind of see maybe what happened in their relationship, if she's like drinking and partying all the time.
She's a party girl, yeah, and he's sober.
Yeah,
that could be a problem.
Who knows? It might have nothing to do with any of that, but I'm just, I
mean, if it is,
I'm making assumptions off of a 55-minute conversation.
Correct. But even if it were, just say, and this is what I mean, like, you gotta take things and make your own decisions, or at least think about them. If that's the case, then that's a testament to his willingness to stay sober.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
There was one other thing I want to bring up real quick.
Okay.
And it was a post. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I thought this was kind of interesting. So this is on a 90s grunge and alternative Facebook group. Someone posted this post. It said, "Not sure if 90s music was better because I was young, or music today just sucks."
Or both.
And I was really...
Could be both.
Yeah. I was really surprised. Like, out of the, 1,000 comments that were in this post, I would say a vast 98% of them, a vast majority of them were like, "No, music today just sucks." And I was like, man, I actually think we're especially when it comes to rock, I think looking at rock music in particular, because obviously it's a grunge page, so it's they're all rock music fans. Looking at rock music in 2023, 2024, this is probably the best that rock music has been in 20 fucking years. There is a lot of...
You're right.
It's hard. You have to actually fucking work to find good music nowadays.
Right.
And that's what's hard.
Well, that's it. And the thing is music may be better now than it has been for 20 years, but that's going back 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And it was still better. The music of the 90s was still better than it is now. Doesn't mean that today's music sucks.
Yeah.
But I'd say there was just a lot more going on. It was more experimentation. Everything was
someone brought up a really good point. And that is that music today really isn't any different than music in the 90s. There's a couple of big exceptions there. Today it's harder to find it.
Right.
He said, and also you're looking back with nostalgia on music.
Right.
He said, he said if you actually go back and dig through music in the 90s, a lot of it was really fucking bad. Was there some incredible rock music? Absolutely. The top end is probably is better, I think, than the top end nowadays.
Right. That's kind of what I was saying.
But the rest of the music in the 90s, there's a lot of really, really shitty rock music in the 90s.
Of course, there was.
And you didn't have
shitty rock music
to music
in every decade.
Yeah.
There's shitty rock music in every decade.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Well, you're looking at it through nostalgic glass. So what? What difference does that make? It makes no difference whether or not you still love it because of nostalgia, or you still love it because it's actually good.
That's not what I'm saying, though, Ian.
Right. No, I'm saying that to him, to his response.
No, but what he was talking about was like you're looking back, and you're not remembering all the bullshit garbage.
Oh, I remember the bullshit.
Music-wise.
I remember a lot of the garbage. I still think that the music is better than. So
yeah.
But there's people they use that nostalgia thing, especially for those of us who are slightly more matured, as like a shutdown. Like, well, you're just being nostalgic. You just,
But I don't think that's what he was meaning by it.
No,
I don't think it was.
I felt triggered by that. So.
I just mean he's like. I think what he means is like you're looking back through at like with like rose-colored glasses.
Yeah. Say it's essentially the same thing.
Like I said, I think like the top end of rock music in the 90s is better than the top end of rock music nowadays, easily. I don't think there's any comparison there. But I think if you look in like the middle and to the end, like the bottom, like I'd say 70%, I think the bottom 70% is probably better today. But it's just harder to find it. And that's the big issue. Back in the 90s, you had, radio, you had MTV, things like that to find a lot of the good stuff. But even back then, a lot of the radio stations weren't playing some of the best stuff either. A lot of the stuff that was on the radio was tailored to big labels and things like that also. Especially over the last 4 or 5 years, I'd say like post-pandemic, I think it's some of the best rock music easily of the 2000s. That's why I say I think the meat, like the middle of rock today, I think is better probably than the middle of the rock in 90s. But
it's really hard to say.
It's just hard to find because there's a lot of bullshit today too. But there's a lot of music in general today, so it's hard to really find anything.
Well, and I guess you could argue that because it's harder to find the good stuff, we could be missing a lot more of the garbage too. So there could actually be a lot more garbage today than there was then. We're just not seeing it or hearing it. Because if you mention that, I think about what could be considered garbage in the 90s. I wasn't listening to it probably if it was considered garbage. If it was really kind of garbagey.
Especially like late 90s, I think is when I really started listening to...
Late 90s is when you started getting into the garbage anyway. Rock was like...
It's still part of the 90s. But I was saying though, like, from like 96 to 99 is probably when I started where I listened to radio more than I did before that because I was working then, and I listened to radio at work all day long. I'd say out of an hour-long radio program, there's probably like 3 or 4 decent songs on there. A lot of the stuff was not good, at least in my opinion. But
right, and then of course that's what you gotta add in there. But I don't like the dismissiveness of nostalgia because they do that with TV and movies and stuff. Dismissing people who don't like the sequel trilogy because it's not their Star Wars. I don't like it because it's poorly written.
Yeah.
I wanted to like it. I went in wanting to like it. And there are good things in there. So to me, it may be true to say that to other people, but I feel it's dismissive to me. Because I don't like 90s music just because it was when I was a kid. There's a lot of 90s music that I listen to now that I didn't even listen to when I was a kid.
People are looking back. It's hard to look at anything, 30 years after the fact.
Right.
Especially when it comes to music, because there's a lot of it. Yes, there's a lot of it today. Like I said, like I was getting ready to say, is like I do a Tuesday new release video every week, and every week there's 400 or 500 albums that get released.
Right.
Like there's an absolute shit ton of music that is released every single week. Is the same percentage of music today as good as music in the 90s? Probably not, because there's less music in the 90s than there is today. But,
right.
I think the quality is there for a lot of it, though.
Yeah, no,
like nothing is going to rival those, the top, 200 albums of the 90s. You're probably never going to get anything again like that. But then again, I don't think there was anything. I think the top end of the 80s doesn't rival the top end in the 90s,
Top end of the 70s might.
That's why I said 80s.
Yeah. Well, I was just breaking down the decades. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I don't know. I think there's plenty of music out there for everybody. So, whether or not we like what's coming out or hate it, it's appealing to somebody. Otherwise, it wouldn't be out there. But you're right. We do have to work a lot harder to find new stuff, at least as far as the rock genre goes. And I would imagine it's not much different with like traditional hip hop either. Because hip hop's it's now an older music form, so it's got to be suffering similar issues of decline in mainstreamness.
And it is. It has been over the last, I'd say, probably 8 years. It's really been declining.
So
in popularity.
New real hip hop artists coming out, rap artists, you probably have to work real hard to find some of them too.
I think that's why you're seeing so many hip hop artists or rap artists, R&B, whatever genre you want to call it, doing country albums, because country is the new rap as far as popularity goes.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, I know that because I fucking hate country, but
me too.
I think country music is horrible. I haven't liked. I like older country, early '90s and before country, but
even pushing the '90s is a little rough for me.
I said early '90s.
Yeah, even early '90s. Like, to me, Garth Brooks was the first worst and the last best of the new generations.
Yeah,
he was good, but it's everything he did bled into what became bad about it. That mainstreamness, that popularity of it.
Yeah. But I don't know. There's a. I think I was talking earlier about that, or maybe it was last episode. I was talking about that doing punk playlist that I play on Apple Music. There's hundreds of fucking songs in that every single week, and I would say 98% of it I hear the first 15 seconds of, and it's an immediate skip. There's a lot of shit out there that gets released every week, but it's just a matter of trying to find it.
I can think of there's a lot of songs out there that I probably did that in the past with. Once I actually listened to the whole song, I was like, wow, that's a really good song.
No, man, when the song starts and the guy's screaming, that's a pass for me. I don't like screamo or anything like that. Or there's a lot of that.
That really wouldn't be punk, would it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's other stuff. Like I said when we were talking about that playlist, there's some stuff I hear on there that sounds like it's straight out of the '90s alternative on there.
Oh, okay.
Then you've got some other stuff that's harder. There's some screaming stuff on there.
Yeah, I'd skip over that too.
Yeah, it's immediate skip for me, but
right.
I don't know. There is some good stuff out there. Like I said, on a playlist of, let's say, 200 songs, I think you got 2 or 3%. It's still, it's a decent number every week, but it is hard. I feel like you have to sift through a lot of bullshit to find good stuff, but
that's probably always been the case. That's always probably been the case.
Yeah.
Just there's a lot more to sift through now.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be interesting to see where music is in 30 years, because I feel like it's.
I won't know.
Why is that?
30 years. I'll be almost 80. There's no way I'm gonna be alive then.
You never know. George Burns lived till 100. And he was.
Yeah.
Probably not in the best of health.
I think he lived to be 101.
Yeah.
So
you never know.
Hey, Keith Richards is still alive. I guess I have a chance.
And he's not the picture of health either. So at least, throughout his life. I mean, he might be very, very healthy now, but
what I really need to do is replace my bloodstream with whiskey, heroin, and nicotine. I've got the nicotine down. I just got to work on the whiskey and the heroin.
But I don't know. It's because, like I said, I think, and we've talked about it before. If younger artists don't come into the genre, it's not going to be there. There's not going to be. It's You said it in a recent episode of the Vinyl Den. If younger people don't come into the genre and do something with it, it'll be like classical music. It'd be stuff that old dead people listen to.
Well, dead people don't listen to anything, but
it'll only be listened to,
or people who just listen to old dead musicians.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I like listening to Mozart, but let's face it, he's been dead for a long time.
Just a hot minute.
Yeah. So, actually, we're coming up on the 200th anniversary of Beethoven's death in a few years.
Yeah.
I think it was 27 when he died.
I will say, Ian, that we never got to our topic.
I know. Big surprise. A whole nother episode where we didn't even get there. That's funny.
Any questions or comments, you can email us at entnowpod@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook, and if you're on watch us on YouTube, give us the old thumbs up and all that YouTube-y kind of stuff. Anything else you want to add, Ian?
No. Absolutely not. I've had it. I'm canceling the show.
Well, the good thing is there's only 2 episodes left. So
I know. That's it. I'm canceling. There's only 2 episodes left. It's canceled.
All right, man. Well, until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Peace.
Play my role, let me tell you about it. This shit right here, man, I'm about it. Only real niggas reside around me. Yo, old lady, drop a guard around me. Dip like I know you can, bitch. Show me the ropes like we in the rain.